All right, it's Wednesday, October 4th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up with a inside one bar. So we stayed inside of yesterday's range, below the high and above the low. It had a little bit of an up bias to it with a green bar, but the overall downtrend still in play. This sets up some interesting things to monitor for going forward. You kind of knew a little bit early in the session that it might be one of these inside days, given that while the market started a little lower and tried to test the low of yesterday, there were a whole bunch of stocks that were, showing some strength, and then, as I'll show you in a second, early on, which we'll get to this 15-minute structure, we started down lower in this big green bar in conjunction with other stocks being strong, kind of hinted that it might be a bit of a choppy day. And then I've always been discussing how as you come to this downtrend, some of the best trades are either going to be two up, two down type trades, or certain type of trades where intraday you kind of take out liquidity, the upside, before moving lower. So that's what may be unfolding now, in the sense that you have an inside bar. I don't really love playing inside bars, up or down. I like to see failures on these bars more than anything. So an example would be if we go two up tomorrow, or an inside bar up tomorrow, and we have targets here and here. If we can't even reach that target and then start lower, that would be an exciting trade. We could break to the downside, and this would be our next target. And since the trend's down, I wouldn't be that excited about a reversal to the upside, but it is possible. So the inside bar, you can certainly try to play the breakout. There are here's the target to the upside. This is the target to the downside. See if you get some extension. It's not really a momentum inside bar to the downside. You kind of anticipate it heading up a little bit after the green, bar, but you can play that and see if maybe we do get a big green breakout to the upside. But you have to be very nimble on these trades, because these inside bars can fail, and they fail when either they don't reach their target and turn around, or sometimes intraday they start up and then they immediately go to the halfway point of that bar. So we'll kind of be looking for that, not necessarily expecting it tomorrow, but knowing an inside bar failure up or down are very good trades to go to the opposite end of the range, and especially when it aligns with the bigger picture trend, which is down. So again, today, if you really were looking at it, we kind of had a big red day yesterday, kind of expecting those lows to be tested. The intraday, or the pre-market range between the blue line, started near the upper end of that range. We started up a little bit on bar one, but didn't really close. We took out some stops, and that looked kind of interesting for a potential move back lower, because we're still below the halfway point of the prior day. Then you had the inside bar, and then I bought puts here, and I shot some videos on bar number 3, thinking we were going to now come down and test these lows down here. I did what I normally do. I scaled out down here to set up a no-risk trade, and I got a little bit lucky, just kind of judging something in this area where we were making some 1 minute pushes down that didn't look like it had momentum. I decided I just wanted to watch it and take my gains down here. But if I didn't, then it would have been a typical trade where, it kind of came up on this bar, held the midpoint of the first bar, try to go down again, then green, then up. So you would have an exit. To me, this would have been like a break-even type of trade, given that I like to scale out. And that's what kind of protects me in these cases. If you didn't scale out and you were going to hold all the way to those lows, if you got in here, then maybe you had to take a small loss around here on bar number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. After this green bar hit the inside and then the up breakout, at that point, especially after it closed green, there was probably high probability you were going to take out some highs here before possibly heading lower. And I discussed how, I wouldn't be surprised if, given this early price action, some strength in other stocks, we might be wanting to take out some highs first before heading lower, and that seems to be what happened. I also said that I wouldn't really get long in here. We're still below the midpoint of the prior day until we broke the high of the first bar, and then maybe a pullback and a buy might be something. So once we kind of broke above that bar, you watch it for an hour or so, then they had the kind of a somewhat orderly pullback to the close of yesterday. Then you had the green bar up. This could have been a last hour trade if you just wanted to do something, given the structure on the day was to the upside after you took out that first bar high. and you had kind of an orderly pull back to the halfway point of that move and then started green again up in here. You could have looked for maybe a run on that high, which ended up happening, but that's really not, you're still below the midpoint of the prior day. So it's just one of those days where sometimes there's not much to do. I mean, the downside here was a good play in my opinion, but there were plenty of ways to break even or even take a small gain. And as it turns out, we end up with an inside bar. So it's nothing to get too excited about on the upside. But, you know, it's something that's really setting up much better for now, something on the downside. We still have the weekly chart down. So until we get, you know, above the open of the week, we're biased to the downside. Today was more of just a pause day, but we could have a bit of a reversal happening. I mean, you know, we took out the low of the previous week. If we can turn the thing green tomorrow and then get to the halfway point to really take out Monday's high, we're back to the halfway point of that bar. Maybe we get a big reversal and we can get a 3-week or a 2 up, you know, into this. There is a gap up here. So you could get a rally, you know, either a daily rally or this is the weekly chart, maybe some weekly rally that goes up pretty nicely and we could trade to the upside. But we'll see first if this inside bar, should it break to the upside, you'll play that, I think, tomorrow and just see if you kind of reach our targets. This is, you know, the failure will be if you can't reach obvious targets and then roll over. That'll be exciting to the downside. In the meantime, let's, you know, expect maybe upside action and see if we reach these targets. And maybe we can broaden out above this area and get into this gap before finally turning lower. Because like I said, in the big picture, quarterly chart, which I'm looking at here, we're 2 down on the quarterly chart. There's 3 months to go to get all the way down here. So there might be some good rallies in here to eventually sell that are going to be much better, opportunities on the down for continuation on the downside once we go up and take out some stops first. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then on the monthly chart, you know, we have a 2 down month in here. So until we really get above the halfway point of that prior month, everything here could roll over back to the downside at some point. But let's just see what happens. Again, now that I'm looking at it, maybe we're taking out lower lows here and we can get an inside break that kind of reaches targets and gets higher highs to at least this level. So anything's possible. So again, we'll play that. We'll watch this intraday structure above the pre-market range and the first green bar, and that'll judge, you know, how to play it or not. And any failure will be good to the downside, and maybe any upside does have a potential to get up there. So we'll find out. And maybe this weekly chart, you know, can have a reversal bar and take out the Monday's high and then eventually work into this gap. So anything's possible. We'll just have to go as we always do with price action. But for now, it's just an inside day. So I'm going to be very nimble on any up trades, or, you know, or down trades would be a little better because that's with the big trend. But any up trade, I'll be nimble, but I will still do that because we can, you know, take out the Monday high and maybe start broadening out a little bit to the upside, only to set up an eventual move back down. So let's see how it goes Thursday and Friday to end the week.